Hey, Chris Castles here. Curious of what you might learn? Well, here's 5 minutes of 2 different segments for your review to help give you a better idea of what to expect in this course. Enjoy! The best photo images created are always in the manual mode. The automatic or program setting on the camera is to capture an image within average parameters at best. And most of the time, the color temperature can be way off. In this course, we'll break down the basic functions of the camera and help you understand why and how to capture magic using a 35mm DSLR. Ready to get started? Let's go. In this short course, you'll learn about ISO. ISO, which is an acronym for International Standardization Organization. Color temperature, Kelvin scale, aperture, f-stops, shutter speed, histogram, JPEGs, TIFFs versus RAW images. The first thing I want you to understand in photographing amazing images is that it's not just the camera itself. The camera is an extension of your creativity. It's only going to record or take photos of whatever you put in front of it. The key to great photography is knowing what, where, and when to shoot, and how to program your camera to the optimum settings to get that perfect image. Photographing amazing images and capturing magic is all in the eye of the photographer. Think about it. You are the camera's eyes, arms, and legs. The camera can do nothing until you pick it up. It's only an extension of your creativity. It's what you do when you pick up the camera that will separate the professional from the novice photographer. Let's look at the basic principles of photography. Once you understand how the camera works, then you'll be able to improve your photography skills. The technical side of photography is just math. What settings to set on your camera? Once you understand color temperature and ISO, it really comes down to how wide do I open my shutter and for how long. That's it. Sounds simple, right? It is simple once you understand the why, how, when, and where to set your camera settings. Your creativity in photography comes once you understand your camera settings intimately. There's a lot to digital photography. It can be very confusing and overwhelming at times with terms like bracketing, DSLR, F-mount, CMOS. But there's no reason to worry with all that right now until you learn how to operate your camera in the manual mode. So let's get started. First, let's set the camera up for successful manual mode shooting. All cameras are different, okay? So it's extremely important that you learn how to navigate your camera. This 5D has dials on the back, buttons up and down, dials on the top. It's a little intimidating at first. So I encourage you to... You change the fill of the image by simply changing the aperture or f-stop number. Second is focal length. This one's pretty simple. On any lens, the more zoomed in you are on your subject, the shallower the depth of field can be, or the smaller the depth of field can be. The wider the lens is zoomed out, the longer the depth of field can be, or the larger the depth of field can be. Third is distance of focus point. If you have a subject you're focused on that's far away, you're going to get a longer depth of field or a larger depth of field. When your focus point is very close to your lens, then you're going to get a shallow depth of field or a small depth of field. Before we go any further, I want to make the point that aperture and f-stop are the same thing. Aperture equals f-stops. Aperture openings are described as f-stops. We use f-stops to measure the size of the aperture opening. For the remaining of this course, I will be referring to aperture as f-stops. This is going to help you. I encourage you to think about your apertures as f-stops moving forward. We know it's the aperture that controls the amount of light to our sensors, but we think of the measurement of the openings as f-stops so we can visually know and understand the effect of the f-stop. F-stops measures. So, what are you waiting for? It's time to leave the auto and program modes and learn to shoot like a pro today. Order now. You'll be glad you did.